What's going on, CrossFit Federal Way? It is Saturday. We have made it to the weekend, and we're going to kick off our weekend with a bit of a doozy. So let's take a look at the board and see what we're getting into. Our workout with a, is this a running clock? Yeah, it's a running clock. So we are going to go row 2,000 meters. So then we'll rest 5 minutes. So when I finish my row, I'm going to rest 5 minutes. I then go into a 10-minute AMRAP of 50 double unders, 40-foot handstand walk, 300-meter run. When I'm done with that 10 minutes, I get to rest 5 minutes again, and then I get to row 2K again, and my score is going to be my total time. So the total time it takes you to get through everything. We already know this piece is going to take 10 minutes, so your time is really going to be dictated by how fast you row, because you've got 10 minutes here, 5 minutes of rest on either side, so that's 20 minutes total. So then we're really looking at, this is probably going to be about a 40-minute workout, give or take, depending on how hard you really want to row. And a lot of rowers will say that 2,000 meters 4 time is probably one of the hardest things that you can do on a rower. So just be ready. This is going to be rough. But our score will be our total time it takes to get through everything, including our rest, plus our score on our AMRAP. So we'll have two numbers. We'll have a time, and we'll have an AMRAP score, so rounds and reps. So let's talk a little bit about this. We'll talk briefly on the 2K row, and then we'll talk about our double unders and our handstand walks, because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to run at this point. All right, so 2K row. First thing I'm going to do when I row for distance, if you were to ask anybody, that was a very stuck seat. If you were to ask anybody who does indoor rowing competitively, they will tell you that rowing between a 4.5 and a 5 is about the equivalent of rowing on water in terms of resistance. Probably depends on the water and depends on conditions and things like that, but that's the general rule of thumb. So if I'm going for a long distance, I'm going to set my rower to about a 4.5, maybe a 5, and I'm going to go from there. So I want to make sure that my feet are adjusted right. The feet on the rower should be adjusted to the point where when I get my shoe in here, or when I get my foot in, the ball of my foot, my metatarsals are resting on that little pad there. My toes are sticking off the top. So if I've got just my toes on there, then I need to adjust it to be a little shorter. If I'm all the way up in my midfoot, then congratulations, that was definitely a really small person who was using that row before you. So once I get that adjusted, for me, I'm a size 10 shoe, and I still adjust mine to a 2. Sometimes a 3, depends on the rower, depends on the model and all that stuff. So, but I'm gonna snug those down. And then since I'm rowing for distance and it is for time, while I won't have an individual time for my 2K row, I want this to be as efficient as possible. So I really want you to think about drive hard from your legs, drive hard through your heels, make sure you're finishing your pull. So the cadence generally is legs, body, arms. And when I say finish your pull, I want to see you in this position before those arms come back. Or before your knees bend. Because I do see a lot when athletes, let's see if I can make myself do it. When they start to bend their knees before they finish their pull. And you get this kind of whippy looking row motion going on. And you feel like you're doing something really fast, but what's happening is all of that extra range of motion that you're not covering, you're leaving tons of power on the table. So you're working really hard and being super inefficient on how many meters you cover. So I really want you to focus on pulling hard, driving hard through those heels, finish every pull. You can relax on the way back. I'm gonna be here for 2,000 meters. I don't need my stroke rate to be super high, but I want that every time I pull back, that I'm driving hard through my heels, and again, finishing that pull. And even just there, while I'm having this conversation, I'm pulling hard enough that I'm still gonna average. If you look at my split time, I'm still pulling about a 153. So it's not super fast pace, but it's also not really slow. And I'm a shorter athlete. I'm not the most efficient rower. There are people who would easily pull a 145 and things like that and be able to hang there. Well, that's good. You want to be consistent on that row. We're going for 2,000 meters. Thankfully, I get a 5-minute rest. So what should that mean for me as an athlete? to push myself harder here, knowing I get to rest for 5 minutes when I'm done. So during that 5-minute rest, I'm collecting myself, I'm getting everything together. We're getting ready for a AMRAP with some double unders and some handstand walking. And for my double unders, now we've talked about this a lot, but I'll go over it again. I want to think about my elbows being tucked into the side of my body. My hands are a little bit forward of my hips. So if I'm looking straight ahead, I can actually see myself moving my fingers in my peripheral vision. It's not super clear, but I can tell they're there. And I want to focus on wrist rotation. So I'm rebounding off my toes. I'm not donkey kicking. I'm not piking. I'm jumping nice and tall. So I want you to think tall chest. Try to keep your body as straight as you can. Just allow that jump to happen off your toes. And we're not compensating in other ways because that's wasted energy as well. But again, with that double under, it's 2 rotations for every single jump. And I really want, if I can get my wrist to be the primary mover there, it's gonna save my shoulders. Yeah, shoulders are still gonna burn. Yes, you're still gonna breathe heavy. You know what, that's okay, that's part of it. That's why we're doing this anyway. So, that's our double unders. Again, elbows in is a really crucial cue for a lot of us because as we get tired, we start to use our shoulders more. Those arms wanna drift out. And as those arms drift out, if you look at the level of my rope, when my elbows are bent, plenty of slack on the ground. As my arms get wider, at some point, I'm gonna trip on that rope. It's gonna hit the top of my feet, it's gonna catch my heels, it's gonna hit my toes, it's gonna do something, and I'm gonna stop being able to continue to get reps. So, if you find that you're tripping up and you're hip whipping yourself in the ankles or anything else like that, tuck those elbows in. It's gonna be a big crucial point in terms of trying to be efficient and knock out as many double unders as you can. Now, I do 50 double unders. I'm then going to a 40-foot handstand walk, which seems like an odd distance, but because we have 20-foot lanes in each of our zones with the new state standards, I want to go down and back that 20-foot lane. Now, I did just do barber today. We'll see. I haven't kicked up and actually tried a handstand walk. Hopefully this goes all right. So I'm going to kick up. I'm going to cover the whole distance. Now what I want to do is my feet are going to start behind the line. When I finish, I need both of my hands to be beyond the same colored line that's in my zone. So if I'm in this gray zone here, both of my hands need to be past this gray line in order for me to get credit for that 20 feet. I'm then going to kick down and then kick back up and walk another 20. I'm just going to demonstrate a handstand walk. And this is what we're shooting for the most part. Again, people look a little different. The big thing, you want some midline tension. And you want to make sure that as you're walking, you're allowing that momentum to carry you forward. Your hands are keeping up. So I want you to think about almost leading with your feet, if that makes sense. So again, we'll see how this goes. Cool. So that's 20 feet. That's half my handstand walk. If you don't have handstand walks, we've got, say we'll probably do a bear crawl. It's a 10-minute AMRAP. In the middle, the goal is to try to keep moving. Yes, a bear crawl is not as high of a high skill of movement as a handstand walk, but that's okay. The other option would be against the wall, doing shoulder touches. So when you kick up and you take those hands from the floor and you're touching your shoulders and back down to simulate that walking, but you still have the support of the wall there. I would say if we're doing 40 feet, let's call it 20 shoulder touches. So that's going to be 20 total reps. 1, 2, 3, 4. To simulate probably a similar number of steps that you would need to go 40 feet on your hands. So that is a mid-range scale option for my handstand walk. And then the last piece of this AMRAP is a 300-meter run, which if you're at the gym, it's out our bay door, around 2 buildings, and back inside. And then you grab your jump rope and start all over again with your double unders. So we then finish that. I get 5 minutes rest again, thank goodness. And then I jump back on the rower for another 2,000 meters. That's how this is going. This is going to be a longer time domain workout with a mix of, you know, some steady state cardio, but we're going to be doing that at a faster pace because we get that rest afterwards. And again, the overall time, my time being lower, is gonna really be dependent on how fast I row before and after this workout. So that's what we're getting ourselves into. It's gonna be a good workout. I'm excited to see you guys in the gym. Hopefully this is the right way to start off our weekend, so we can justify anything else that happens on a Saturday night. So with that, guys, looking forward to this one. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Let's get after it.